but it can be a big time saver, but also help you with things that you don't know yet, an accelerator to learning new things. So today we're talking about ChatGPT.
Wow. Everyone is talking about ChatGPT. It feels
Everyone
like,
is talking about it.
And no one knows about it, and we don't either. So we're just going to join the people who have, in German, gefährliches Halbwissen. So
gefährliches Halbwissen.
Dangerous half knowledge. The literal translation. Yeah. So, yeah. Have you tried it?
I have tried it for a couple of things. For example, to come up with some titles for our podcasts. Like after we've recorded them, we always need some title. And I asked it to come up with some recommendations. And it gave me a couple of nice recommendations. I didn't pick an exact one, but I took that as an inspiration. So that was pretty cool. What did you try it for so far?
Well, some non-work related stuff. So my wife is really good at coming up with stories for the kids. So I actually asked them to tell me a bedtime story for a 3-year-old. And the funny thing is, or for 2 3-year-olds. And the funny thing is that you can ask your kids, hey, what do you want the story to be about, right? And then you can just type it and it will print out the story. Yeah, that's actually really nice. Yeah.
That is super cool.
And then you can say okay, add a monster or add this or maybe have a different ending or something like that. So this is really awesome.
Yeah. Amazing.
But this is like family stuff or private stuff, but also, I tried actually, I asked it to write a Flint component, to program a Flint component, right? And while it wasn't there wasn't code that I could copy and paste somewhere, it was actually really close to how you would do it. And then just remember that Flint isn't really that big of a project, right? But I heard that what things like AI will probably make really easy, and this makes a lot of sense, is migrate existing code to a different framework, kind of, right? Mm-hmm. So that you can say, hey, here is my React component, please rewrite that in Svelte or something like that. Or,
What if you would ask ChatGPT to transform a static website into a WordPress website? Like maybe feed it an HTML template and say, make this a WordPress website. Maybe something like ChatGPT will be able to do something like that at some point.
Yeah. I mean, the other way around would be the first thing, right? Make this website static and then you get a zip file. But yeah, reverse engineering, point it to a website, say, now give me the code for the, Airbnb booking process.
Yeah. That will also be cool. Yeah. But then you would be quickly touching on that one of the big controversial topics of where does it get the data from, and is that protected? What about licenses and copyrights and so on?
Yeah, and plagiarism and stuff like that. And what was really interesting, I saw this one video about ChatGPT where they said, where they pasted in an article, or it was like that. They copied something from Wikipedia, right? Mm-hmm. And put it into a plagiarism analyzer or whatever, right? And they got a score of 80%.
Okay.
So saying this article is 80% plagiarized. Maybe they have Wikipedia as a source, so that would make sense then. But then they said, okay, ChatGPT, rephrase this. And then they copied the resulting text, pasted it in, and it was 0%.
Wow.
So, yeah.
But maybe could you also then ask ChatGPT about if they stole the information from somewhere, to evaluate itself about the sources and about how much is original and how much is not?
Yeah.
It should be aware of it.
Well, actually, I feel I did that probably also, no. In school, when you had to read books and maybe write, I don't know, how do you call it? Write summaries and things like that. Like this is also where ChatGPT is really great in, right? So you can say like, please summarize. Do you know the book so and so? Okay.
Yeah.
Please give me a summary of chapter 4.
And I think I heard someone say that as well, and say like these kind of school summaries, they will become useless in the future as a task because it will be so easy to just ask it to do that, and then to create still some kind of unique content. Just ask it again to rephrase what was written a couple of times, and it will remix it.
And you can even say like, now please give me a summary in 300 words.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember like when I was in school, I also like there were also these cliff notes, right? So I never in school, I think I never read a single book that they wanted us to read because I was just I don't know, and I just read the cliff notes, like which is a summary. So, but I think back then we never got the assignment to summarize something, right? Because I mean, this was already at the verge of all this information being available and so on. So
maybe not summarize, but like there are these tasks where we have
interpret
to interpret something, something like that. Yeah, all kinds of like tasks where you're asked to write a piece about something, and you could just like ask ChatGPT to do that as well for you.
And the funny thing is that you can do like, and do this in the style of, right? So and then you can say like in the style of a 14-year-old. A kid who likes to play soccer and video games, and then they would like, this is so cool. Like,
but also like if you need to write an essay about something, like even if you're in primary school, write an essay about the hedgehog. What you need to know for a second grader. I don't know, like. And my son just learned, he's also getting 3 now, and he just learned to talk to Siri the other day. And that was like, oh gosh, this somehow so crazy. And if you just like added ChatGPT onto that, I think it's crazy how the new growing generation, what kind of tools and opportunities they will grow up, and how that will shape again what's important to know, what's important to learn, how to use those tools and so on. Like even us, like we grew up, I think when we were still in school, Wikipedia was some kind of thing already, but it was only getting started somehow.
Yeah.
And I think those kind of things transform the needed skill set a lot these days. However, one of the biggest dangers also is with ChatGPT, you can't trust the information, like if you ask it for facts.
Yes.
I have seen a couple of videos where people talked about that, and they said typically they feel like it's about 10% is wrong information, but you can't know which information is wrong unless you do the research yourself.
Yeah, so I did actually something yesterday just because I stumbled upon a YouTube video that suggested something like that, and I asked for like investment advice, right? Then I asked them to give me a specific product, right? It was about ETFs, and I said a specific product from brand XY, right? So, and then they gave me one. But also said, yeah, there are many others, and don't like, it's always like trying to be really safe, right? But then I looked at this number, this ISIN number, which is like an identifier for like assets, right? And then it was a totally different thing from what they told me it was.
Okay.
So it was from a different company, and like a different issuer, and like a different like topic. So this was like really, I was like, okay, this shouldn't happen, I guess.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But it was rather obvious to you that this was wrong? Or?
Yeah, it was totally wrong. Like it was an ETF, but it wasn't the one that they said it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I also, during Christmas time, I sat down with my dad. He's a diabetic, and we asked it to come up with tips when your blood sugar is low, what to do. And it gave like 5 tips or something like that, and 4 of them were accurate, and 1 of them was totally wrong. If you followed that, you were about to get to die, basically, kind of, if you don't do anything further. And that was also where I was trying to research and understand where it got that information from. And it was also the total opposite way, more like, well, if you do the opposite thing, or like if your blood sugar is high, then you should do that. Okay. So it would have the counter effect. And this is super, super dangerous. And I cannot imagine yet how to solve this issue. This is probably what I'm most excited about. What people will do and figure out how to solve this type of problem with giving entirely false information. Or maybe it just needs to be, maybe it cannot be figured out that easily. And then it just needs to be a disclaimer: don't trust the facts. Don't do it.
I think there the main problem is that ChatGPT is basically an all-purpose AI kind of, right? So it doesn't have a specific topic where it's good at. I think you will see probably the rise of more AIs that are similar to ChatGPT that have that are specialized in certain things, right? And this is actually where things get really interesting, I feel, because for one thing, I'm a person when I'm interested in a topic or when something is up and I need to make like a big decision, I read so much information online about. I try to find everything that's possible in forums, articles, things like that, right? And I go through it all and I read for days and days, and sometimes I get like lost as well in this. And I think this is something where these AIs will become really helpful, where you can say, okay, I want the following sources because I trust them, right? So I want this forum. I mean, forums are always difficult to trust anyways, but still, I want this forum, this article page. I don't know, maybe they even have some like publications that are that were digitalized or something like this, like magazines and things like that. And then you can ask the question, okay, like with all of that information, like what is the best type of like just house that I could build, right? Yeah. What should the walls be like? What should this be like? What kind of heating should I get? And or like what kind of smart home system would you recommend, right?
True.
Things like that, where when you have when you don't actually know where all of the information is coming from, or knowing where the information came from will make it more likely that you trust the AI, right?
But maybe that could be a more easy answer, just asking it to fact check itself and solving that by giving you sources. Like the information is usually, I think the information isn't coming from one source exactly. It probably collects it from multiple sources, but just like asking it, give me one source for each of those facts, where you got that from, so I can fact check it myself. And if I look it up in that source and I don't trust that source, maybe ask it again, give me another source for this, or list me 10 sources so I can fact check those things myself.
Does that work? Have you tried that?
I haven't.
Yeah, we should try that.
Maybe it works already. I don't know. Shouldn't be that hard.
Maybe. I mean, there are a lot of like hacks, right? That people don't, or that are not obvious, that you can find. Like there are a lot of threads on Twitter where people show you how to get like answers that you aren't supposed to get, or something like that, right? So this is interesting. But I mean, of course, the idea of AI is not that it's limited to a couple of sources, right? As I explained before, like where I say, okay, just take these sources. But this is like a different thing. Like maybe it was because you always have to train the AI, right, with data, and then you can ask questions. But maybe you can say, okay, limit your training set to the following, or something like that, or increase the importance of the following training data, yeah, or things like that.
Yeah, so probably maybe there should be, or there will be coming up more guides how to use tools like this for a certain thing for you to do, like a guide, like first approach it like this, then ask it to rephrase it, then feed it with some source, and so on, so on, so on. So
Yeah.
you get into the habits of certain use cases to get the best results. Because we, as human beings, I think we always still need to get used to how to speak to a machine, right? But when we start Googling, I still remember back in the days when older people who didn't grow up with computers started Googling, and they were just Googling very much differently than I was. They were trying to enter like a full phrased question into it. And I was like, no, you got to pick out the right keywords and combinations. But maybe that's what we need to get back to, like
Yeah.
the natural language. Then that's what ChatGPT is about, right? About natural language.
Yeah. And this is also like, there you can, the question will come up again, what is important for kids to learn these days in school, right? So, because, I mean, it was clear before that every kid with a cell phone or with like, access to the internet basically has all the information available, and kind of all the information available all of the time, right? So how often do you when you don't know something, just get out your cell phone and quickly search for it online, right?
Yeah.
So, and this didn't used to be the case. And like, what is more important nowadays, to know things or to know how to find things, right? Or to know like how to transfer knowledge also from one field to the other, and apply certain principles to
Yeah.
specific problems, right?
When when we are interviewing new developers, one of the things we like to do is also checking their Google skills, kind of. Right? I always value that as a very important skill. And I might even underestimate it again and again sometimes, because if I'm working together with people and there's a certain thing to find out, I can see how being good at Googling stuff can be a huge advantage in knowing what to type in to find the information or to come to the conclusions.
Yeah. It's a
And
part of debugging, right?
similar as like debugging, yeah. Mostly, I think you're looking at the Googling skills, or you used to do that. When maybe explain that. How did you do that?
Yeah, we always had like two like coding challenges that were done with somebody looking over the shoulder, kind of, which is of course,
Pre-COVID. You're talking about in past tense, because
yeah, but
pre-COVID.
also like also
person.
remote, you can do that, like
Yeah.
not over the shoulder, but like on a remote session. And the thing is that it's, while we know that this is not a about like, or it's not, it doesn't show you how somebody would perform in his job, right? Because the situation, like, you might be very nervous or not used to this type of situation, but still, like, and it wasn't about the result, it was more about the way, or what you did, or what the person did, how they dealt with challenges. And then this is like debugging, and for me, searching on the internet belongs to debugging, because like, it's okay, this doesn't work, okay, why doesn't it work? Maybe so when you get an error message, of course, like, the first thing you do is like, and you don't understand it, just search for the error message.
Yeah.
So, and this is most of the time you'll find something, right? And this applies even more to like when you're not in a browser, because like cannot, what is it, cannot execute undefined, no, what is the great JavaScript error? I don't get it now. But something with
Undefined is not.
undefined is not a function.
Yeah.
This like right?
Yeah.
Undefined is not a function, and then you go like what? And if you Google for that, of course, yeah, it won't tell you anything. But
That's a little of a hint already. If you Google for what is that error, what does that mean? That probably could be a hint to, oh, you haven't run into this. You probably haven't written a lot of JavaScript.
yeah, yeah. But okay, we are drifting apart. So,
Maybe not so much, because here's the thing. I just thought about when so far Googling is very important, and when you search for an error message, where do you expect to find the answer most of the times these days?
Stack Overflow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Stack Overflow. Is that still going to be the future of development?
No, you
Of
just
debugging.
paste the code. Like, I mean, the first thing is, and I mean, we are not using this. Maybe we should think about using that. But GitHub Copilot, right? I mean, there's no team plan yet. But GitHub Copilot is like, it does amazing stuff, right? It's crazy. And I just like some people say, yeah, you're becoming a dumber programmer or developer because you don't have to do it yourself anymore. But it's like the amount of time that you can save by starting in the right way, like starting your code in the right way, is like, it's incredible, right? So
What is GitHub Copilot for those who don't know? I
GitHub
haven't tried it.
Copilot is basically an AI that auto-completes the code in your IDE for you. So there's an extension for VS Code, for example, where you start typing, and as you know, like the autocomplete functions, usually it's just a single word that gets auto-completed, but Copilot auto-completes like entire functions. Like it's and this is crazy, right?
And you can feed it with code comments. Also, I think it takes that into consideration, and then it will be, even better at auto completing your code.
Yeah, and you can probably like we have a lot of like private repos, right? Which it doesn't have access to, but when we give it access to it, it will actually use that code to give better suggestions.
But
Right.
will it make people dumber coders? Wouldn't that be the same phrase as when you said, like, when people start Googling the language terms, they are more dumb. They should read books and know every
Yeah.
keyword from the head. This theory, I think it's safe to say, it never became true.
Yeah.
No, it's not that those developers who read all the books in the 90s, early 2000s are better developers because they know more functions.
Yeah, I totally don't think so. Like it's just a shift, right? Other things become important, and it's for you like it's evolution. You have to adapt to the new circumstances, right? And the same as like when the industrial revolution took place, also like workers had to switch what they were doing, right? But still, everyone has enough work.
Okay, we're now going from Industrial Revolution to GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, GitHub Copilot,
So
right?
but with that, like this is already awesome. And I would like, why, like honestly, if we use GitHub Copilot for our team, and if this was something that we had for everyone, I would also let people that come in for coding tests also use it, because like, why not? And then it's like, okay, you write Copilot, and then okay, this didn't give me the right thing, so maybe I go to ChatGPT now and ask, okay, why doesn't this work? Okay, what do I want to do? Like, I want this to actually spit out, and then you repeat the question. Maybe you just even copy the question. Well, actually, no. There's one thing. When we did the coding challenge, I always said the only thing that you cannot Google is the answer to the question, right? So, because this, like, this doesn't show me anything. But if you would have asked me, okay, but can I use ChatGPT? Then I don't know. The first time I would probably say yes, and the second time I would say no ChatGPT. You can just like use it for debugging, but not for like the whole.
I think it depends on the type of task. The more complex a task, the more okay it would be to use ChatGPT, right? If
Yeah.
you have more like a basic task, like a FizzBuzz test, of course, that wouldn't make sense because you can even Google for that and copy and paste the results in a second. But
Yeah.
I also like not checking, like, or like to see what kind of results people can come up with, right? And what
Yeah.
their approaches are, rather than how well do they know every keyword and approach to writing a for loop or what's else.
Yeah, I would probably, the first time somebody would ask me to, can I use ChatGPT? I would say yes. And the second time I would make the task a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
So that ChatGPT couldn't solve it immediately. And then it would be really interesting to see, okay, what do you do? Because it's a conversation, right? It's not, here's a question, give me an answer. It's, here's a question, give me an answer. Now I have to test that answer. Is that answer correct? No. Okay. What can I do to improve it? What are the and if you're good at that, this is an amazing skill, and like we could definitely benefit from that.
Also, in regards to coding tests, we sometimes ask people not just like to, or we usually always ask people to code a UI component as well, and we gave them a design most of the time from an existing website actually, and we had this thing actually that we wondered why no one ever tried to just find that website and copy and paste the code or what they could find on the website. Because we always said if someone did that, we would actually find that pretty amazing in terms of problem solving skills. And of course, we would probably have a laugh and then say, yeah, okay, but maybe can you do like write some actual code, do something different? But just going down that route, just saying, it's important to get to the result, and you couldn't copy all the backend code or the fields, or probably only have access to minify code anyways. There might be a thin line between cheating and just achieving it, but I would have loved if anyone ever did that.
Yeah,
So
and it's the same.
how?
I mean, this basically also results in this. Okay, yeah, we have to create a slider, right, for this website, for this, and then instead of writing your own slider, what you do is you take a library that's out there, and you know about, like, you have to find the good library, make it fit, and make it look exactly like you want it to look. And this is also like, I mean, using open source tools or like other tools that are around is basically the same principle, right?
Yeah.
See what's out there and apply it to your own problem. And don't
Yeah.
do everything from scratch.
So how important do you think will be something like ChatGPT or Copilot or other AIs in the future for developers, for your problem solving skills? How important is it that you know those tools, or how you know to work with those tools?
It's a tough question. I'm sure it will be quite important, like very important, but on different levels, right? So, it's hard to say. I've seen, because like I wanted to say, the more creative something is, the more important it is for, or the less important it is to use these tools, right? But actually, there are like also on Twitter, I saw some threads where it's not about ChatGPT, right? But some other image generating AIs, where they actually create really awesome designs for dashboards, components, things like that, right? So, yeah, I'm not one of these people who say we are all going to be out of jobs if we, because AI will take over. But definitely you have to adapt, find the niche again where either this stuff isn't useful, or where you learn how to use it the best way for you. But again, this is always like, I mean, currently this is free, right? But if you want to train it and if you want to do some more advanced stuff, you have to pay for the API. And then comes again, okay, what, like, are we all going to be dependent on like one AI company that I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Well, by the way, they are some kind of NGO. I saw a video about it, that they're some kind of NGO. However, they moved a bit away from being an entirely NGO already. So yeah, it's one organization.
And
And
Copilot is Microsoft, right?
right,
So because it's GitHub belongs to Microsoft. But I don't know what underlying UI they are using, AI they are using, if it's their own or if they're using something like, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know for sure as well. But still, I think in order, like if you learn these tools and if you learn to work with these tools, I think it can be a big accelerator for achieving things, for your career, for writing better code, for writing better, quicker applications. It's still gonna be very important that you know the basics of, that you understand what the thing writes and how to maybe restructure it, where to pick up some things, where to improve things, and so on. But it can be a big time saver, but also help you with figuring out things that you don't know yet, an accelerator to learning new things. Writing a function that you would need to sit down and think about for an hour or try 3, 4 different approaches usually. This could be accelerated a lot by these tools helping you do that. And then the next time you'll be even better and quicker at doing that. I'm a big fan of learning through experiencing things and doing them again and again, and then applying that knowledge. And I think that's what these tools would be super helpful with.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably use it more. It's
I think so too. And I just read like Copilot is from GitHub and OpenAI. So
okay.
yeah.
So it's based upon open AI, but they were feeding it with a lot of open source code. And I think they got into a lawsuit already about that because people asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, open source doesn't mean it's free to use, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but if a person is allowed to use that, that's the thing, right? A person is allowed to use that, and AI would also be allowed to use that, but then you're not allowed to make money out of it, right? This is like the problem. So this would be awesome if all AIs would be free.
Yeah. Oh, and Copilot does have a business plan. Did they just introduce it?
They must have then just introduced it, because I was looking at this. There wasn't. Oh yeah. Now there is. Okay, Steffen, put it on the list.
Okay, I put it on the list.
Just $19 per user per month more.
Okay, that's some money, but it should be worth it.
Yeah,
we should definitely look into this more now and see what comes out of it.
Yeah,
cool.
Everyone will probably be thrilled. Every team member. I know that some are using it with a private account.
We'll make this an experiment, and we'll report back probably at some point here.
Latest in 1 year, we have like, what is the experience after 1 year of using Copilot in a company?
You're making promises already. Okay, great. Check in again in 1 year.